Good morning, I'm Pauline Verzosa. It is Tuesday, the 5th of May, and we're bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. And now first on the agenda, Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case is one step closer to the House plenary. The House Committee on Justice has unanimously approved the committee report, resolution, and articles of impeachment against the Vice President. Here's the report.
Let it be placed on the record that 55 out of 55 Justice members physically present manifested their support to the approval of the committee report, to the attached resolution setting forth the articles of impeachment as amended. The chair therefore declares the motion unanimously approved.
All 55 members of the House Committee on Justice voted in favor with no objection on the committee report, resolution, and articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte. This means the committee found sufficient evidence that VP Sara may have committed acts falling under the grounds of culpable violation of the Constitution, betrayal of public trust, bribery, graft and corruption, and other high crimes. These stem from allegations of unexplained wealth, misuse of confidential funds, and threats against the lives of President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza Marcos, and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. The 53 Justice Committee members present also voted unanimously to declare that there is probable cause or sufficient basis for the impeachment complaints against VP Sara. For Bicol Saro Party List Representative Terry Ridon, if the committee can already secure 55 votes at this stage, he believes they can get more than the required 106 votes to impeach VP Sara.
The Vice President will be impeached. It is certain by next week we will get the votes to impeach the Vice President.
Meanwhile, ML Party List Representative Laila de Lima believes
kahit isa lang pong article ang ma-uphold nila at ma-convict si VP Sara, that should be enough to really convict her and then to remove her from office and to permanently disqualify her to hold further public office.
the Constitution is clear that once elected, a public official should not have any participation in any business. The impeachment case is set to be taken up in plenary on May 11, where lawmakers will vote on it. But even now, some lawmakers are already opposed to the impeachment moving forward or refuse to take part in what they call politicking.
Obviously, no to impeachment ako. It's the same as the 2025 impeachment. There's nothing new. So if they plan on doing this every year, it's just going to be a waste of government resources.
Well, should the House impeach Duterte again, the ouster articles will be transmitted to the upper chamber. And Senate President Tito Soto says they need to first conduct a pre-trial drawing from lessons learned during past proceedings. But for Senator Robin Padilla, the trial could be blocked altogether. Padilla belongs to the minority bloc, which members are known allies of the Duterte family. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has directed SP Soto to file a comment within 10 days on an indirect contempt petition filed against him. This stems from Soto's public criticism of the SC's 2025 ruling that nullified impeachment complaints against VP Duterte.
We've been doing our best to be ready for whatever decisions or whatever consequences arise. So whether they vote early, they vote later, they reject it or they approve it, the Senate will do its job. We will be sending the impeached official a copy of the articles of impeachment. We will receive it after a number of days, and we will ask the prosecution of the impeached official their response, and then we go into pre-trial. And then the trial proper after everything is all set.
A former Senator Sonny Trillanes says Vice President Sara Duterte is unlikely to be indicted before the International Criminal Court or ICC. In a radio interview with True FM's Ted Filon and DJ Chacha, Trillanes said the evidence is not enough to warrant the arrest of the Vice President.
Unfortunately, hindi po kasama sa may issue ng warrant si VP Sara ngayon o kailanman. Hindi na po aabot yung threshold na evidence.
Trillanes also noted that not all alleged co-perpetrators in the crimes against humanity case linked to former President Rodrigo Duterte will necessarily face charges. Some individuals, he said, could turn state witnesses and even testify against Duterte, potentially leading to their absolution. However, Trillanes emphasized that others, particularly those with direct involvement in alleged killings during the war on drugs, may still face prosecution and will not be able to evade accountability.
Hindi po ako at liberty to confirm yung kay Bato. Pero alam niya po 'yan, no? Alam na po niya 'yan kung ano man yung katotohanan diyan. Doon naman sa iba, ang pagkakaalam ko po ay dinedevelop pa yung kaso sa kanila. Nasa case build up. Pero hindi na po siguro aabot kina Aguirre at doon sa iba hanggang kay Albayalde na lang po siguro at kay Bongo.
And now circling back to the impeachment, legal counsel for Vice President Sara Duterte, attorney Paulo Panelo, maintains that allegations linking Ramil Madriaga to the Vice President are unfounded. In an interview with The Big Story, Panelo said they will present more evidence to refute the claims. He added that they are preparing to file another perjury complaint against Madriaga over his testimony in the impeachment case. Panelo insisted that Madriaga failed to present any evidence to support his allegations.
What Madriaga did 2 weeks ago before the House Justice Committee in presenting and testifying on this supplemental affidavit is a new perjury count. So it's for us, it's not a question of whether he committed it or not, or whether we will file it or not. It's just a matter of timing. And the only consideration right now is whether it would be wise to do so just before the impeachment trial starts.
I know maybe this is not technically your job, but have you figured out who is running Ramil Madriaga?
No, we have our guesses, of course. So there's this, Sean, there's this one text message that we included in the perjury complaint where Madriaga tries to convince Lieutenant Colonel Nolasco, who was DepEd Security Officer for the Vice President, to falsely testify that the confidential funds were turned over to Madriaga, and Madriaga said, ako na yung bahala magpaliwanag kung saan napunta yung confidential funds, and don't worry about me because makakalabas ako kasi ng kulungan kasi magiging state witness ako. So that shows motive, and that shows that he knows that he's lying. And in that same text message, he alludes to the government, the administration, being behind this and saying, and he said that galit na galit si PBBM kay VP Sara, hindi niya lang pinapahalata. So it could be somebody affiliated with the president.
Vice President Sara Duterte maintains her lead in the latest 2028 presidential preference survey by Pulse Asia. Conducted from February 27 to March 2, 2026, the survey shows 51% of respondents would vote for Duterte for president. Naga City Mayor Leni Robredo follows with 43%. And in another head-to-head matchup, Duterte was paired against Senator Raffy Tulfo with both posting 46%. Now, Robredo and Tulfo have previously said they are not considering a presidential bid in 2028. Now, don't go away. We will be back with more stories right after this break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning and welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Mayon volcano is currently experiencing pyroclastic density currents, or USON, according to PHIVOLCS. Meanwhile, heavy ashfall continues to blanket Albay towns, severely affecting homes, farms, and livelihoods. Here's the report.
News 5 visited Barangay Tumpa in Camalic, Albay, one of the areas closest to the 6-kilometer permanent danger zone around Mayon volcano. Houses remain covered in thick volcanic ash. Some residents have started cleaning, but their homes are quickly covered again when vehicles pass by. Beyond homes and establishments, the agricultural sector is also heavily affected. Drone footage shows vegetable farmlands in Albay including pechay crops, now shrouded in ash. Rice fields that were expected to be harvested by the end of the month have also been covered in volcanic dust. Farmer Arnel Nacor was even seen harvesting okra, not for sale, but to be used as fertilizer.
Di naman bibili niyan.
Bakit?
Abon na sir. Wala nang
Hindi na
bibili yan.
maagapan?
Hindi na. Pag ganyan, wala na yan. Tuyo na yan. Bago lang asphalt sana kunin ko yan.
O kaso,
Gana, hapon na eh.
Other crops such as tomatoes, eggplants, and string beans have also been damaged.
Pagkakataon na sana para kumita eh. Yung dapat sana is nasa 20k kada isang harvest is nawala na.
Barangay officials estimate that more than 100 farmers have been affected by the ashfall from Mayon volcano. Local government units are now considering cash for work programs to assist affected farmers. Similar conditions are being experienced in neighboring Ginobatan. Trees at the foot of the volcano have also turned gray due to heavy ashfall. Multiple fire trucks from various local governments in Region 5 have been deployed to assist in flushing operations. However, water supply remains a major challenge in Ginobatan, especially during the dry season. Governor Noel Rosal visited Barangay Miisi in Daraga, where thick volcanic deposits were discovered as a result of pyroclastic flow and rockfall activities from Mayon volcano. The deposits are reportedly more than 100 meters deep, covering gullies and vegetation in the area.
That's in the boundary of the 6 kilometers permanent danger zone. Pero maraming nagtatanim doon. Pag hindi natin ito na agapan, hindi natin ito binang aksyon, delikado na sa next lahar flow, baka bumaba pa ito.
FIVOC warns that heavy ashfall may still occur as Mayon volcano remains under alert level 3, indicating ongoing magmatic unrest.
Now for more on Mayon volcano's current activity, we have Dr. Paul Alanis, Supervising Science Research Specialist from FIVOX. Good morning, Doc, and welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning, and good morning to you, and good morning to our viewers.
Okay, first of all, sir, kamusta naman po ba ang inyong monitoring of Mayon volcano in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, so as of 5 a.m. today, for the past 24 hours, our FIVOX monitoring network recorded 14 volcanic earthquakes. This includes 5 volcanic tremors. These tremors are lasted from between 2 and 8 minutes long. We also recorded 336 rockfall events, and 3 of these caused pyroclastic density currents yesterday. Meanwhile, sulfur dioxide was measured last Sunday at 1,829 tons per day. But overall, alert level 3 remains over Mayon volcano.
Help us understand, sir, what triggered this pyroclastic density currents that caused the massive ashfall last Saturday?
Yeah. Usually, pyroclastic density currents are caused by explosive eruptions. However, last Sunday, the large pyroclastic density current event was generated by lava flow collapse. So around right now, there are 3 lava flows currently coming out of Mayon volcano. That's Isi in the southwest, Bonga at the south, and then Basud towards the east. And at Isi, that's Sigali in the west, southwest. That's where the lava flow collapse occurred, and thus generated a very large pyroclastic density current, and which in turn caused a very large ashfall on the towns to the southwest of Albay.
But sir, how different or concerning was this latest activity compared to the earlier lava behavior that we already saw back in January?
Well, right now, based on our estimates, the lava collapse that occurred last Saturday was in the order of about 4 million cubic meters. So that's a very large amount of volcanic material that instantly went down the slopes of Mayon volcano. Kaya nga po yung kanyang the areas which were affected was very large, including the towns of Kamalig, Ginobatan, Igao, and as far as the town of Huas, well to the south, well to the west of Mayon.
And would you say, sir, that this PDC was bound to happen based on your monitoring? And yung ganito pong klase ng activity, no, where there is lava flow and intermittent collapse, how long does this usually last?
Well, you have to understand, no, yung mga lava flows na lumalabas ngayon, these are very unstable. And yung, although yung slopes ng Mayon is quite, if you look at it, if you look at the background behind me, yung slopes niya, especially dun sa bandang itaas, the upper slopes are very steep. And that's actually where the lava collapse occurred. So yung pag ano na yan, yung nung natanggal yung very large chunk ng lava, dumaus-dos yan pababa, and ito nga yung nag-generate ng fire plastic. So
May
these
epekto.
things unfortunately are bound to happen. They actually happened quite earlier for the past few months. I think halos every month nagkakaroon ng malaking pyroclastic current event. Pinakahuli occurred in the first week of April. Last month lang.
And is the weather also a factor in this type of volcanic activity, sir?
Not really. Actually, yung eruptions ng Mayon, previous historical eruptions of Mayon, continued even if merong nakataas ng signal number 3 sa paligid ng Albay, like yung 2023 eruption and yung 2018 eruption.
And syempre, tanong po ng marami, sir, is there a possibility that this could escalate further into an explosive eruption? Are you seeing any patterns as early as now?
That's a very good question. Based on our assessment from the current data that's coming in, actually we do not see any indication na nag-escalate yung level of activity or rather hindi nga nag-deteriorate. So right now, nakataas pa rin ang alert level 3 sa paligid ng volcano ngayon. However, because binanggit ko nga po, we recorded 14 volcanic earthquakes and 5 of those are of the volcanic tremor type, which is indicative of fresh magma that down or rather below the volcano that is slowly coming up. So even though wala kaming makita na indication na nag-escalate yung level of activity beyond alert level 3, unfortunately, we can expect na magko-continue pa rin yung eruption ng rain.
So would you say, sir, na as of this moment, mas nangingibabaw po yung tinatawag na effusive activity of the Mayon volcano or yung pag-agos ng lava compared to explosive activity?
Yes po. So, we're not removing the explosive eruption scenario. However, we're leaning more towards the continuous effusive, quiet type of eruption.
And kamusta naman po, sir, ang ating early warning systems? Of course, that's very important to alert the residents. Lalo na po, alert level 3 is still up over Mayon volcano.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, a few weeks ago, yun nga po na karoon ng vandalism dun sa isang monitoring station namin sa Davao City. However, this has already been remedied as of last week. Online na rin ulit po yung station na yun, still already fully functioning. So right now, we have a lot of stations working around the volcano. All of them are feeding data.
And sir, pinag-aaralan po recently ng mga authorities yung posibleng pagpapalawak ng permanent danger zone from 6 kilometers up to 7 kilometers now. Why is that so important?
Although yung permanent danger zone for Mayon volcano has always been 6 kilometers. However, due to there's a possibility na yung mga pyroclastic density currents might reach the 6-kilometer mark. People are studying whether to at least increase the not designate a permanent higher larger permanent danger zone. However, to just extend the danger zone by maybe at least a kilometer. But right now, we're just studying it right now. If there's a direct possibility nga po na mag-breach yung mga pyroclastic density currents dun sa current na 6 kilometer mark.
Pero sir, did you observe or notice any changes when it comes to the direction of the flow of the lava? Is it now reaching areas that weren't being reached before?
Actually, right now, hindi pa po, actually, still well inside the 6 kilometer permanent danger zone. The longest lava flow is actually sa may bandang Basud to the east of Mayon volcano. That's about 3.8 kilometers. Mahaba. Pero I think yung pinag-aaralan namin is yung the possibility that the pyroclastic density current might reach the 6 kilometer mark, especially dito sa may bandang southwest. Pero so far, based on our aerial studies yesterday, yung pinakamahabang run out, yung maximum distance ng pyroclastic density current na nangyari no Saturday, only reached about 5 kilometers. So still, it's inside the permanent danger zone.
But sir, dozens of volcanic earthquakes and tremors were also recorded. Are they still being felt up to now? And hanggang kailan po ba magtatagal yan? And what does this also indicate about the movement of magma under the volcano?
Most of these volcanic earthquakes, actually, they're not actually felt by people. Most of these are just instrumentally felt as our monitoring equipment. However, yun nga po, yung volcanic earthquakes are indicative of fresh magma coming up from them. So, yung nare-reflect na inilalabas na lava ngayon, meron pa pong susunod yan, fortunately. Kaya right now, nasa alert level 3 pa rin ang meron.
So right now, sir, what will PHIVOLCS be closely monitoring, and what would prompt the agency to raise the alert level from 3 to 4?
Well, right now, if we're more closely monitoring run out, yung maximum distance na tinatakbo ng mga pyroclastic density current in case na ma-breach niya or umabot siya doon sa 6 kilometer mark. However, yun nga, of course, binabantayan din namin yung other monitoring parameters like yung numbers of earthquakes, if mag-increase, or yung any anomalous gas, especially yung sulfur dioxide, if ever na suddenly tumaas or suddenly biglang bumaba, that's a possibility na merong block yung crater at hindi makalabas, nagkakaroon ng pressure sa loob. That's a possible sign na baka mag-escalate. Pero rest assured nga po, right now wala kami nakikitang any sign na nag-escalate. The data that we're getting right now, yung trends, is the same as the data trend that we got back in January when we raised the alert level.
But of course, it's always better to not be complacent, sir. But ashfall is now already affecting over 100 barangays. Ano po ba yung mga pinakamalaking health risks na nakikita nyo because of this latest activity? And what are some of the precautionary measures that residents should be taking?
Well, in terms of health risks, of course, yung mga immunocompromised, madaling maapektuhan yan. Especially remember that yung volcanic ash is not just abrasive. I've seen social media posts about some people playing around with it, pero actually that's very dangerous kasi this is yung volcanic ash is quite abrasive, so and irritating dahil may mga poisonous elements yan na galing sa vulkan. Also, yung right now yung problem is merong when you have ashfall, pwede makontaminate yung mga water sources, and also yung food, natin, yung food supplies. So, we suggest na kung meron tayong drinking water natin or yung any source of water, kung pwede takpan kung nagkakaroon ng alcohol. Ganun din sa sa yung mga pagkain. Right now we have reports of animals getting sick from eating contaminated vegetation. So that's yung danger doon. And we also suggest na mag-consume ng face mask, yung N95, para hindi natin malanghap yung doon. Again, it's very irritating, especially sa mga nasal passages, respiratory system.
Sir, in place of N95, ano po ang pwede pang gamitin ng residents? Because some evacuation centers are already reporting that they are low on N95 masks.
But I think in a pinch, I guess yung yung cloth mask is help para mabawasan yung lalanghap na abo.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time and for sharing all your insights with us. That was Dr. Paul Alanis, Supervising Science Research Specialist from PHIVOLCS. Thank you, sir. Now, in other news, a magnitude 6 earthquake hit eastern Samar on Monday afternoon. PHIVOLCS says the tectonic quake struck at 2:09 p.m. with its epicenter located 20 kilometers northeast of San Julian town. The quake had a depth of 56 kilometers. Eastern Samar Governor Ralph Vicente Everdone suspended work and classes in all levels after the tremor. Authorities advised residents to stay alert for aftershocks. The Provincial Disaster Office says some buildings sustained superficial cracks, but no major damage was reported. Oil prices will see mixed movement starting today, May 5. Diesel prices will go up by 2 pesos and 66 centavos per liter, while gasoline prices will also increase by 2 pesos and 21 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, kerosene prices will go down by 3 pesos and 53 centavos per liter. Oil companies are expected to implement the price adjustments at their respective pumps this week. Now, do stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back after this short break. Stay with us. Good morning and welcome back. I'm Pauline Verzosa, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and we give you the context behind the headlines. Well, as we know, the House Committee on Justice has unanimously approved the committee report, resolution, and articles of impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte. This comes after the panel declared there is probable cause in the impeachment complaints. And the case stems from allegations of unexplained wealth, misuse of confidential funds, bribery, and threats against President Marcos, First Lady Liza Marcos, and former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Now, the impeachment is set to be taken up in the House plenary on May 11, but some lawmakers are already opposing it, calling the process political. And joining us again to discuss the next steps in the impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte, we have Manila 3rd District Representative Joel Chua, a member of the House Committee on Justice. Good morning, Congressman, and welcome back to Morning Matters.
Hi, Pao. Good morning, and good to see you again.
All right, Congressman, let's talk about what happened yesterday. 55 out of 55 House Justice members approved the committee report setting forth the articles of impeachment. How significant, Congressman, yung unanimous vote ulit dito?
Well, actually, that is 56, no? Because the chairman did not vote. So, technically, if we will count all the members who were present yesterday, 56 lahat yan. Well, it was expected because of the evidence for the past 3 hearings. The evidence presented were not rebutted, and it was, I would say, overwhelming. So, expected naman that the vote will be like this.
Well, what happened also here, Congressman, is the committee consolidated yung dalawang impeachment complaints. And as we all know, maraming grounds for impeachment dun eh. But for you, Congressman, kung kayo po ang tatanungin, which one for you carries the strongest weight for conviction against Vice President Sara Duterte?
Actually, lahat sila. But I would say that the one that the ground for ill-gotten wealth as well as the threat, no? Kasi yung ill-gotten wealth, it's a numbers game. Nakita-kita naman ang numero, so it's very hard to rebut all these numbers. At doon naman sa threat, ano yan eh, res ipsa loquitur eh, the thing speaks for itself. Yun na lang. Yung mismong the threat itself, medyo mahirap nang i-rebut yan.
Kong, let's focus on the unexplained wealth. Kasi when it comes to the AMLAC report, question po yan ng defense ni Attorney Michael Poa. And he even said na parang nagkaroon ng glitch ang AMLAC when it comes to this transaction involving 2 billion pesos. Dapat 2 million pesos lang daw yun. What are your thoughts on that?
Ano yan? Over-up. So, if there is a glitch by AMLAC, if the AMLAC was the one who committed the glitch, then it should have been reported by AMLAC before the committee. And why only now? Why did not? I think the best way to say all these allegations is through the proper committee. So, at the very least, siguro, they should have attended the hearing before the Committee on Justice, and they should have said that. Now, even assuming for the sake of argument na may 2 billion na glitch sa transactions, what about the other 4 billion? Remember, Pao, we are talking here of 6.7 billion transactions. The Vice President in her SALN did not declare a single centavo of cash on hand and cash in bank. And the transaction appears to be appears to be very staggering, 6.7 billion. Kahit tanggalin mo pa yung 2 billion to 4.7 billion pa rin ang pinag-uusapan eh.
And when it comes to the grave threats, Congressman, actually marami rin pong nagsasabi na ibang lawmaker and even some analysts na yun ang magiging pinakamalakas na ground for impeachment of the Vice President. Considering na isa lang po ang kailangan ng article of impeachment o ground ang mapatunayan, Congressman, do you think this has the strongest basis para nga po makonvict ang Vice Presidente?
Wala ka na kasing papatunayan dyan eh. Yan na mismo eh. Diba? And in fact, we all witnessed that incident. In fact, it was even published not only in the newspaper of our country but also abroad. So, and it brings embarrassment to our country. Kaya wala ka ng ibang patutunayan kung hindi yun mismo eh. The only thing that nadadagdag na lang namin na ebidensya is the report of the NBI that they have authenticated the said video, and that it was the Vice President who actually said that or uttered those words on that date and time. So, other than that, wala na. Yun na yun.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you also, Congressman. If these articles of impeachment do get transmitted already to the Senate for a full trial, ano pa po yung mga evidence na sa tingin nyo kailangan pang ipasapina ng senator judges to further support itong mga allegations?
Siguro yung mga bank employees, diba? Sa ill-gotten wealth. So, but it will only collaborate, 'di ba? Kasi nandiyan na naman na yung numero ng AMLAC eh. So, but I think that is already the job of the members of the prosecution team who will be elected by the House. So, ibebet nila lahat kung sino-sino yung mga witnesses that they will present for each and every ground. So, that is already their task.
Of course, because ang Senate din, as the impeachment court congressman, have more powers, di ba? To subpoena documents. They are covered by the bank secrecy law because it makes an exception for an impeachment process. Pero balikan ko lang kung yung sinabi nyo about the prosecution panel. Napag-uusapan na po ba who will comprise the prosecution team of the House of Representatives? Should this go to trial at the Senate?
Well, their names were mentioned by the speaker. Siyempre, it has to be, you have to talk to the members of the Congress, no, kung sino yung pipiliin nila. But may mga iba na, siyempre, I do not know kung they will agree. Kasi nga, because of their location. So yung iba kasi taga Mindanao, so I do not know if they will agree. So but there are already names mentioned.
Kasama po ba kayo doon, Congressman?
But it has yet to be approved, no? Pagka dinala na ito sa plenary.
Kayo po ba, Congressman, are you willing to be part of the prosecution team?
I think para expected naman nila.
So you are willing, Kong?
Well, of course, it's an honor because it will bring honor to my district.
How so? How so, Congressman?
Well, we will be part of the history. Out of more than 300 congressmen, 11 lang yung pagpipilian. It will be chosen by members of Congress. And this is something, no, na hindi naman ito, no, lagi na ginagawa sa Kongreso.
Congressman, I wanted to ask you also about another argument that the defense has raised. Kahapon, nag-file po ng reply affidavit on their perjury complaint ang kampo ni Vice President Sara Duterte and Attorney Paulo Panelo. And they continue to maintain na si Ramil Madriaga is a fraud, is a liar, is a con artist, and wala daw pong ebidensya, concrete evidence si Mr. Madriaga to prove that he had a close working relationship with the Vice President. What are your thoughts there, Kong?
Lahat po yan immaterial unless they will present that in the impeachment court. And I'm pretty sure once Ramil Madriaga, no, inupo na yan as a witness, they will try to attack the credibility of Ramil Madriaga through cross-examination. So, siguro sa hearing na lang.
Pero kayo,
lahat naman outside the hearing, outside the committee, walang bearing lahat yan.
Okay. Pero kayo, Congressman, do you believe in the credibility of Ramil Madriaga?
Well, kasi we only look at it on the surface, yung sinubmit niyang affidavit and supplemental affidavit. May mga detalye rin naman talaga doon, but of course the vetting, the cross-examination will be done once we were appointed as prosecution. Kasi ako, I do not have the luxury, the liberty to cross-examine Ramil Madriaga. Kasi if you will recall, during the committee hearing, we were not allowed to ask probing questions. Only clarificatory questions. May mga tanong, no? I have this, may mga tanong ako dun sa supplemental affidavit niya, but I think hindi papasa doon sa committee hearing because nga magiging probing questions yun.
Pero actually, Congressman, that was also the point of Attorney Paulo Panelo. He criticized the Justice Committee members for immediately believing daw itong testimony ni Mr. Madriaga. Sinabi po niya sa amin kagabi that if the committee was really interested in finding out the truth, it should have subpoenaed the witnesses of the Vice President, including the former PSG commanders who attested that they do not know. Ito nga si Ramil Madriaga. And in other words, mukhang naging one-sided daw po ang Justice Committee. Your reaction?
Alam mo, si Attorney Panelo, alam naman niya na dapat sila ang nag-present noon. Diba? That is their job as defense. So, siguro, pagdating sa Senate, edi presenta nila yun. Diba? So, kami naman kasi dito, kung ano lang yun nandiyan dyan, syempre, yun ang pagbabasihan namin. And you have to remember, Pao, we are only looking at the probable cause, determination of probable cause. We are not saying that the Vice President is already guilty. Probable cause lang to eh. So malamang ginawa. We are not saying na guilty na. So malamang ginawa lang. So you have to differentiate, no, yung sa criminal case kasi guilt beyond reasonable doubt na eh. So dito wala pa kasi wala ngang cross examination eh.
So kung wala naman pong implication itong perjury complaint ng Vice President, will it affect the credibility of Ramil Madriaga as a witness, or is this entirely a separate legal matter?
That is entirely separate legal matter, and besides, there is always a presumption of innocence. Just like the Vice President, she is also entitled to the presumption of innocence. So, ganun din kay Ramil Madriaga. The fact that there is a case of perjury filed against Ramil Madriaga does not mean na guilty na agad siya. So, unless and until the case has been decided at may final outcome na, nandoon pa rin lagi ang presumption of innocence.
And so the articles of impeachment, Kong, will now be elevated sa House plenary, and here, lawmakers will be given a chance to scrutinize the impeachment complaint. This will be debated on the floor. Ano po yung expectations nyo when it comes to this? And sa tingin nyo po ba magkakaroon pa po ng strong opposition at this stage of the process?
Ako, I would invite all congressmen, especially those who are saying that there is no ground, diba, na to impeach the Vice President. They should ask, they should interpolate. Kasi mahirap naman yun puro sila sa media nagsasalita but they do not participate during the deliberation. Now is the time, whether you are a member, you are not a member, now is the time for you to at least sabihin ninyo bakit walang ground. Diba? Kasi people will judge us based on our voting.
Congressman, merong supposed list going around of congressmen, lawmakers who allegedly withdrew their support for the impeachment. May alam po ba kayo regarding this one?
Well, obviously, bumoto na yung marami doon sa sinasabi nilang numero kahapon. They mentioned, to name a few, Congressman Dumogan, bumoto kahapon. Ilan doon yung mga nakita ko yung sa may Cagayan. They mentioned the Congressman nakalimutan ko na, pero marami doon sa mga nilagay nilang listahan kahapon bumoto And in fact, it was walang nag-abstain, walang walang nag-no. Lahat voted for the approval of the committee report. So lahat yan fake news.
Pero kung meron din pong allegations of incentives being used, naririnig po natin yung mga terms na FLR, yung mga district funds para sa proyekto ng mga kongresista. Pero may naririnig din po tayong bagong term na OMB, mukhang ginagamit po to as a way to pressure lawmakers na with a threat na kakasuhan daw po sila sa ombudsman. What's the real score here, Congressman? Fake news na rin po ba itong mga incentives and pressures being used on lawmakers?
Fake news yan. Alam mo, Pao, with all the evidence that were presented before the Justice Committee, ang tanong nga dito pag bumoto ka ng no, ano naging kapalit? Diba? How do you explain na you will vote no when in truth and in fact, sumisigaw na yung ebidensya sa mga mukha namin? How are we going to explain that to our constituents? Hindi ba dapat sila ang tanungin namin, why would they vote no?
Congressman, ano naman po yung tingin nyo para dun sa mga mag-a-abstain? Some lawmakers could potentially abstain from voting. Isa na po doon si Congressman Egay Eriza. He said na the impeachment is no longer about the truth, it's about power, and the House lacks the moral ascendancy to decide on the impeachment of Vice President Duterte.
This is about accountability. Diba? Accountability is the highest form dito sa ating saligang batas. So, but of course, we respect their opinion. Si Congressman Erice, kaibigan ko naman yan. I respect his opinion, but it does not follow na I agree with him. Kaya nga, ito nga, question of accountability. Kaya nga sinasabi ko nga, nasa harapan mo na yung ebidensya eh. Diba? Nandiyan na, sumisigaw na. Tapos sasabihin mo no, or mag-abstain ka.
Okay, so Kong, mukhang May 11 ang magiging judgment day sa House of Representatives kung kailan pagbobotohan po itong impeachment. And 1/3 is required, or 106 votes. So do you think the House will easily secure the numbers at this point?
More than 1/3. I
More
believe
than
we will
one-third.
be able to secure more than 1/3. In fact, kahapon na madami ako nakakausap, nagbagong isip because hindi nga nila ma-justify sa kanilang mga constituents yung numero And there was even one congressman that I talked with. Sabi nga niya sa akin, alam mo, before marami nagagalit sa akin doon sa lugar namin because they are pro Duterte. But after the second hearing, after the committee hearing dito sa Ill-Gotten Wealth, lumabas yung number sa AMLAC, sa SALN, lahat sinasabi sa akin dapat I should vote yes. So medyo na-bolster yung kanilang mga confidence, lumakas yung kanilang mga loob. So kaya nga sabi nga nila, how can we say no? Nandirito na sa harapan natin.
So in other words, Congressman, malaking bagay rin po dito yung public sentiment, yung public opinion, and not so much anymore about political considerations.
Kasi lahat naman yan, at the end of the day, anyway, 2 years pa yung election 2028 pa Lahat naman yan, makakalimutan rin Pero pagdating dito talaga, yung pagbobotohan mo, yung paninindigan mo, pag-uusapan ka, pagbaba mo, pag-ikot mo sa distrito mo, tatanungin ka ng mga constituents mo, Congressman, ano nangyari? Bakit gano'n na naging boto mo? Diba? Kitang-kita na. Bilyon-bilyon pala yung pera na dumaan. Tapos bumoto ka ng no. Ano nangyari? Nabulag ka? Baka pagdudahan ka pa.
Sabi po ni Congressman Terry Ridon, he expects that at the very best, mapapantayan yung 215 votes in the impeachment last year. Kung kayo po tatanungin, Kong Joel, do you think aabot po ito more than 200? How different is the political landscape this time around?
I think it will surpass 200. Hindi ko lang alam kung gaano karami, but definitely mas tingin ko, I'm confident that more than 200 congressmen or members of the House of Representatives will vote yes.
And just as a final question, Kong, given everything that we've seen, we've heard, all the evidence presented sa inyong mga clarificatory hearings, do you think it would be a great disservice to the public if this impeachment does not get sent to the Senate for a full trial against Vice President Sara Duterte?
Definitely.
All right, we're going to leave that there for now. Thank you very much for joining us. As always, that was Manila 3rd District Representative Joel Chua. Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you, Pao.
Don't go away. We still have more matters to discuss right after this break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The MPTC Tour of Luzon rolls on in Ilocos Norte as riders take on Stage 7 of the country's historic cycling race. And mobile journalist Denise Valdez-Sancho joins us live all the way from Pagudpod. Denise, good morning. How are the riders holding up so far at this stage of the tour?
Good morning, Pauline. Yes, we're here in Pagudpod right now for the 7th stage of the MPTC Tour of Luzon 2026. Yesterday, we came from a grueling Stage 6 here in the north where riders face the longest distance of the tour. And of course, its toughest conditions from Tuguegarao to Pagudpod. It's a 228.8 kilometer stretch, which pushed the peloton through strong crosswinds, long ascents and descents, and winding zigzag roads with elevation gains reaching over 1,000 meters. But in the end, it was Min Kyung-ho of Seoul Cycling Team who delivered a standout performance, breaking away solo to claim the stage victory in just 5 hours, 13 minutes, and 12 seconds. And behind him were Russian rider Ivan Anisimov and Filipino cyclist Ronald Oranza. Today, still here in Pagudpod, all eyes shift to Stage 7, a 22.9 kilometer individual time trial that could shake up the general classification. Riders will roll out one by one starting at 10 a.m. with 1-minute intervals testing not just speed but pacing and precision. The route will take them through Pagudpud Municipal City Hall, through Bangi before looping back to the Pagudpud Municipal Hall for the finish line. Now, unlike mass start stages, there's nowhere to hide in an individual time trial. There's no drafting. There are no teammates to rely on, so it's just a pure race against the clock. That's what we're going to be expecting today here.
All right, Denise, but what about our Filipino cyclists? How are they doing?
For our Filipino cyclists, like what I mentioned, nakikipagsabayan sila with the foreign cyclists just from the recent stages, stage 4, 5, 6. Medyo nanaig yung foreign cyclists tulad ni Ivan Anisimov, a Russian cyclist. But yesterday, nagpakitang gilas din si Ronald Oranza nga na a Filipino rider. But today, we will be seeing if it's a Filipino rider who's gonna come through for the individual time trial races dahil ang kalaban nga dito ay bilis. So it's not just mainly the ascent or the descent, and as well as syempre yung malakas na hangin dito. Pero pabilisan kasi yan, so more of the pacers, the sprinters compared to our climbers. Na yun talaga yung na-test kasi kahapon dahil nga malalakas yung paahon coming here to Pagudpud. But today, kung sino man yung pinakamabilis, let's see, Pauline, kung anong mangyayari.
Okay, Denise, kamusta naman yung init ng panahon? Is that also a big challenge for the cyclists? I mean, we're facing very high heat index levels. So, malaking factor din ba yan?
Yes, yan yung laging pinopoint out, at least for our foreign riders. Syempre, our Filipino riders are very much used to the heat. Here in the Philippines, dito sila nagpa-practice. But for our foreign cyclists, tulad ng mga Koreans, Russians, Ivan Anisimov, he would always mention the heat. Nung nasa Tuguegarao tayo, nag-peak up to 40 to 43 degrees Celsius yung init. But coming here to Pagudpud or to Ilocos Norte, mas naging kalaban nila dito yung mga paahon at yung malalakas na hangin dahil based on the temperature yesterday, around 30 to 38 degrees or to 38 degrees Celsius. Hindi siya pumatak ng 40 degrees Celsius. So it's more on yung paahon dahil nga umaabot ng 1,200 meters yung elevation gain dito sa Pagudpud. Pauline.
All right. Well, best of luck to all the participants. Thank you very much for that report. That was mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho. All right, and still in sports, the fight for the UAAP volleyball crown in the men's and women's divisions begins tomorrow, May 6. In the men's division, the FEU Tamaraos face the NU Bulldogs at 12 noon. And in the women's division, the De La Salle Lady Spikers take on the NU Lady Bulldogs at 5 p.m. Both series will be a best of 3 to determine the UAAP Season 88 champions. And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you just the right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter. I'm Pauline Verzosa. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.